All right, everyone. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Dr. Stacy Holweger here. I am so excited to see all of you this evening. I have a very special guest tonight. I got the pleasure of meeting briefly back in Arizona earlier this year, but actually spending a little bit of time with and having a conversation with this past weekend in our Costa Mesa event. So I'm super excited and thrilled that Dr. Dawn has agreed to be here tonight and share with us the information about Lifewave's stem cell activation technology, and I'm sure some of the other patches as well too. But before we get started, I do want to share a little disclaimer. So even though I'm a doctor and Dr. Dawn is a doctor, we are not your doctors. And so if you have questions about your health concerning anything at all, please check with your healthcare practitioner or your doctor if you're on medications, if you're pregnant or nursing, anything like that. And of course, the information that we share tonight is not intended to prevent, treat, cure, or diagnose anything. So with that, Dr. Dawn, I'm going to read your bio because it's very impressive.
Okay.
You shared a little bit of history with us, and I want to make sure that you're able to hear that as well too. So Dr. Dawn and his wife, Bobby, were married for 56 years. They were high school sweethearts and graduated from the same high school where they married right after graduation. We can't believe this, but in 1963. They had their first son, Jeff, who I got to meet again this past weekend as well too, who's on here tonight, 2 years later, and their first daughter, Sarah, a couple years after that. He started chiropractic college in 1965, and then they had their second daughter in 73. He graduated from Palmer Chiropractic College in 1973. That's a lot going on in that year. And Bobby and I and their children have worked in the clinics throughout the years, and they've always enjoyed traveling with some of their good chiropractic friends. Now, their chiropractic and health focus has always seemed to somehow enhance their life, spiritually, physically, and also for fun and relaxation. They have had many wonderful times on holidays with their children, swimming, boating, eating out, golfing, museums, and enjoying timeshares. And many of these activities included their children's friends. And they've always been involved in church wherever God has taken them. So here's a few of their clinics they've had in the past. First in Starksville, Mississippi, right after college. Second was in Charles City, Iowa. The third clinic was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where we spent most of our years. And then they decided to give the Southwest a try when their children all moved out of the house and purchased a practice in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And they wanted to be closer to their grandchildren, so they moved back to the Midwest and purchased Integrity Chiropractic in Lee's Summit, Missouri. They semi-retired in the 2017 and sold their practice for the next stage of their life. Bobby did pass away in November 2019 after health complications, and it was their dream to move back to the Southwest, where they love the weather, the people, and the mountains. And the dream was underway after semi-retirement in 2017, with plans to move to Phoenix area to be near the family, and during this transition in life to Arizona. So Jeff has had Dr. Dawn has had the opportunity to bring his son Jeff back into practice as the business manager. And Jeff handles all the business requirements, allowing Dr. Dawn to participate 100% and focus in on the patients and their wellness. So we're looking to continue building, growing the chiropractic clinic that Dr. Dahl and Dr. Demir started many, many years ago. So without further ado, I am so excited to share with you and have you be able to hear from Dr. Dawn. So Dr. Dawn, could you start by just explaining for all of our guests, because now we're almost at 200 people on here tonight, can you explain the science and technology? So how does Lifewave, how does the patch, like what is it? How does it work? Kind of give us just a quick overview of that, if you don't mind.
Okay, the patch is, of course, formed out of crystals that reflects our light energy back into our body. We are light beings, energy beings in a physical body, and we work and operate off of vibrational frequency and light energy. These patches, Lifewave, reflect this light energy back into us, amplifying, energizing peptides, which activate my age, dormant stem cells to make them start producing again. It's like this little thing I see on my desk up here. It says, you can be anything you want to be when you grow up. It's on my desk here from stem cells. So they help your body to heal. and it heals everything you can. And of course, our body has an instinct or innate ability to heal itself if it's working right, if you feed it right, you treat it right, exercise, all the things we all should do. And that makes it heal. Of course, through the years, we have injuries and so forth that goes on. And as age goes on, our stem cells become less and less and more dormant and less active. And so the Lifewave activating patches create light and energy in our body, which heals the cells, makes the cells work better. I was always fascinated with the cells in college. I took the course over twice just to study more, and it's so fascinating how the cells work off an electrical current, plus light energy and chemicals and all kinds of different things in there. And when they work better, they heal better, and your body functions better. So I've used all of the patches, I think. I haven't used the skin oils, but I've used everything else. Want me to keep going on?
Yeah, you're doing great. I love it.
Okay.
I would love to hear how you utilize these in your practice.
Okay, so I've used all these patches just to experience them. And of course, I've had issues through my life. I injured my knee when I was probably 13, and I've battled with that years. And of course, you always injure the same spot again. So we come out here and started the stem cell clinic, and we injected stem cells in my knee twice. I had it done earlier too, which was way better, really improved. And I had my L5, C5, and doing pretty good. And I re-injured my knee again. And this is about probably 4 months before we got into Lifewave and had injected it again. It was getting better, but since I've been using the patches, it's gradually getting better and better and better and stronger. I've experienced so many different changes, and I'll talk about that later if you want. But the patches, of course, we use in the clinic. We have many patients that have done stem cells, still patients in our clinic. And they, of course, they understand this pretty well when they've already done that. We've had patients that jump right in and start using them. The patients that I treat regularly, I use activator protocol, and I use some energy work to balance the field energy and balance the energy flowing through the body, which works amazing. And of course, since we've been using patches on these patients, they respond better, stay well better. When they come in for their regular care, maintenance, management care, their tests are less. I don't have to do as much, and it's easier for me, of course. And so when we bring a new patient in, we do our exams or x-rays, whatever we need to do to determine the underlying cause of their problem, their symptom. I explain to them the symptoms, the tip of the iceberg, and we got to find out what's really underlying cause of the situation, the function, or whatever is going on. When I do my reported findings, I explain to what we want to do, what we recommend, and of course, we include the patches in on that program. And we include the patches, we include PMF, of course, and therapy and chiropractic care and energy care. Then they have the choice of what they want to do as they do that. But we start out, of course, with the X39, depending what they want to do. I recommend the X39, 49, and Eon, and or the carnosine, depending on their condition. Now, people my age, I tell them, if you can, I would jump in and start the 39 and Eons, and then after a month, jump into the rest of them. Because the carnosine helps the organs so much more, along with everything else, to improve more and more and more. So we've had patients that's just amazed me with, they get off the table with the pain gone. And amazing in some, we got to continue to care, of course, because of the damage that's done to the spine through the years. So it's amazing technology. I wished I'd known about it years ago. My wife would be alive yet. I tell people this a lot of times, because when you explain this to people and expose it to people, you don't know how they're going to affect their lives and the people around them. So I try to tell everybody that I can. I see sometimes walking down the street or in the grocery store, and I talk to them about it. And like Carol talks about, and a lot of the other ones talk about, and sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't, but you got to keep telling them. So I don't, and that's more than that. Any questions?
Yeah, I would love for you to elaborate. You had said something a little bit about yourself personally. You were going to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
Well, you mean as far as related to the patches and my health?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, mine's been kind of a gradual, because I've used stem cells for quite a while before we found out about the patching. Of course, the biggest thing I've seen since I started using the patches is my strength and my endurance. I use the energy patches. A I'll go backwards. The last time I was in the gym, I used to do abs where in the machine you do abs and back, and I used to do 40 to 50 pounds. I went up to 90 pounds before I felt big resistance. So that was a big change just lately. When I first started with them, I probably lifted 30% more within probably 2 months after that. And of course, my knee gets better each time I go exercise along with the patches. I, since my wife passed away, I had blood pressure issues with hypertension kind of thing. That's gone. In fact, one time I checked, it was low, and I said, "Holy smokes, can't be this low," because I used herbal things to control it and that kind of thing. I haven't had uses anymore. I do not a nutrition. My son gives me a hassle about it, my kids always, but I used a lot of nutrition through years from different companies, and I've been able to use less and less of that, and I keep testing for that. And it keeps telling me I need less and less, and it's kind of hard to accept that I need less and less. But then I go back to what David Smith talks about, what you should maintain with as far as minerals, liquid minerals, those kind of things. I stay on all those and tell people about those and so forth. So I guess I'm stronger, more enduring. I work 3 days a week. Sundays at 9, 10 o'clock, I'm still doing pretty good yet. You know, it's amazing, especially with the energy patches. I've started them probably a month ago, and it's amazing. I can't say enough about it.
So
More endurance.
Let me ask you this real quick, because you talked about supplements, and I know a lot of people have questions about this because, we're trying to do everything to get our body proper nutrition, and we know it's not in our food, and we're trying to help all the systems. So why do you think, because I've heard David talk about this too, from your opinion, why do you think that over time you don't have to use as many supplements, or as you don't have countertops full of pills? Why do you think that changes with the patches?
Well, because the function of the cell is better, because the patches stimulate or activate, I should say, the peptides. They activate, which is amino acids, and activate stem cells, which heal our body better, which gives us more energy and makes the cell function better. And you don't need as much supplements in there to help that work better, longer, because it probably, I'm sure, helps your body get more out of your good food you eat. I tell everybody eat organic food, even though it might cost a little more. Eat less food, buy better food, you're going to be better off. So it just makes your body function better, all the way down to the cellular level, which goes to the energy level. And the vibrations and the frequency in our body become more apparent. It's just like water. You can take water molecules. There's a doctor years ago did research with water molecules and changed the molecules by praying over them. And of course, and that changes frequencies. And if we can increase our vibration and frequencies, which is what the activating patches do, it's going to make us healthier, make us stronger, more enduring, more able to get over any kind of bug or bacteria comes around, and just overall make us healthier. So you still have to do minerals because it's not in the foods, it's not in the ground anymore. And David talked about that. You have to do other basic things. There's many things he talked about. I can't repeat all those, but that's the best program. There's many other doctors on there that's coming up with newer, better, and all these things we have to do. You can't just go to these grocery stores and pick them off the shelf. Like we had a seminar this summer, and one of our chiropractic researchers, they're saying that people that drink Diet Pepsis, 300% more ability to get Alzheimer's and dementia. And Alzheimer's dementia are all curable now. There's a medical doctor, I can't repeat his name now, back in 2015 came out with a book. I know he's on Dr. Oz, and he's able to reverse Alzheimer's. And of course, we've seen so many testimonials on our podcast that people are getting better on that using the patches. So what does it do? It makes that body work better. It just, you can't say enough about it, because it's just amazing what it does. Because when your cells work better, your body works better. And of course, when that happens, the vibration frequency is better, the light energy is better. I used to be able to see auras around the body. I haven't been able lately as much, because you have to have a certain pattern of light around you, but it changes the color of our auras, which changes the frequency of our body and how it works and how it functions. And of course, we have to deal with cell phones and all the electromagnetics going on around the world. So we use PMF for that, and we have protection for that. A lot of companies are coming out with that. That's another thing to do. And I tell people, it's what is the investment in your health? Because if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And of course, everybody's worried about the money. And of course, there's always that issue with everybody. And I've always been one, the good Lord's going to provide what I need the next day. So I do what I need to do to stay healthy. And I've told my family that, my patients through the years. And most people follow through what I recommend. And back in the 80s, we used to do blood tests on 80% of our patients, had a whole program, and we had great results with all we did then. I wish I'd had the patches then. We could have been better results. It was amazing. So, nope, we got a dog barking. Anyhow.
I
It's
think David may have
amazing
been a kid in the 80s. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Well, anyhow, I've been around a long time, I guess. So I keep on plucking, and people ask me when I'm going to retire. I tell them, what I want to retire for. I have fun doing this, and it's so rewarding when a patient gets off the table and looks at me kind of funny, like, what did you do? We had a patient last week, 2 weeks ago. He had an acute disc issue. He couldn't bend, couldn't move, couldn't pain, probably an 8 area. And I did my examination, so on and so forth, did my treatment with activator and the energy work, got him up, and he probably went down to a 5 or so. It was quite a bit better.
Wow.
So we put the ice wave on him, and he looks at me almost instantly with his eyes open. He said, what did you do? He starts bending and moving. I said, slow down, slow down. We change the energy flow in your body, which reduces the pain. This body's still got to heal, and it's going to help it heal. So many times it works instantly, sometimes it's slow. So everybody has to understand that. But we know it works. Research with what David has done shows it research that it works. There's no question about it. We just don't know how fast, because the body's going to heal what it needs to heal, survive. And many people have had blood chemistries change with no change in symptoms. So we know the body's healing better. So I tell people, I says, there's no question. If you want to try them, you're welcome to try them, but they're going to work. So that's, I don't know what else, any other questions? Give me some.
Yes, we have questions. So I'm going to ask them to you one at a time, because they're super excited to ask you questions. So one lady wants to know, when you say it's reverse aging, what's the best way to explain that to someone? Reverse aging.
Well, I've done anti-aging, reversing aging with a Chinese medical doctor for years, and I understand that. And what it does, reverse aging means you get younger. It means your cells work better. It means you have more energy. It means your skin will get better. You'll look younger. On our podcast, we have pictures of people that get younger. It changes our chemistry, changes our hormones, which changes a whole lot in our body, affecting all of our endocrine systems. And it's a gradual thing. And again, going back to what you drink, how much water you drink, how good of water is that you drink, how good are the foods that you eat, and how often you eat, how much you exercise, how much you walk, how you sleep. All these things play a part in it. But reversing or anti-aging is stopping the aging, because they know through testing that the telomeres, which is the marker on the end of the genes that tell us if they get shorter, that your life expectancy is less. They know through the testing that these telomeres get longer. So that proves that you're going to get younger. So some people do it slower, some do it longer. It depends on when you get into it, depends on your history, what you've done, all sorts of things in there. So if that answers the question, I hope, well, how do you get younger? You get younger because you used Lifewave patches, and it reverses your aging through all kinds of situations. So
yeah, I love that. I'm listening to you. I'm like, oh my God, I say those exact same things. Like word for word.
I've listened to you a lot, and you're fantastic. I appreciate being out here with you.
Oh,
I wish I could learn. I wish I knew what you did with all your credentials. I tell you, I've studied and studied, and I'm one of those, back to when I went to high school. And of course, I was a farm boy in Iowa. And of course, I didn't really like school. I almost quit high school. And then, of course, my darling wife kept me in there. And of course, when we was on the farm for 5 years, she'd come home one day from our chiropractor and says, well, Dr. Brown says you need to go to chiropractic college because your back's not going to last out here. And I told her, I says, dear, I hated high school. You think I'm supposed to go to college? But we made it anyway, and we studied. I love research. I went to research seminars for years and years, and some of our states require so many hours for renewing our license. I usually have double or triple the hours because I love study and love research. And I've researched stem cells for years and years before I heard about this. And it's fascinating what it does. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
Yes, all right. So somebody wants to know, simple, which patches do you attribute to your blood pressure lowering? I
would say the 3949, the carnosine. The carnosine regulates that. And of course, I did the spray patches, the aromatic therapy. I think those are the main ones.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any one that does that, but all
Mhm.
of them together work the best. So that's the best. And of course, helps my treatment go better. I see another doctor that does a lot of energy work and that kind of thing. So I just see that do better since I've been on the patches, just like I have with my patients. So I
Perfect.
would say 3949 carnosine and probably the aromatherapy.
Aromatherapy mist. Those are amazing. They're secret little
Yeah.
gems. All right. Somebody
Yes.
else is asking, what minerals are you referring to that we're supposed to add to our diets? What
Oh
trace
my
minerals are
gosh.
you using? Like I like sea moss and I like Celtic sea salt. What do you use?
Yes, all those things, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's one that David talks about. You can get it at Sprouts, and I don't have the name of it here. I
Like
should
the
have it
liquid
here.
trace mineral.
Yes,
I've
yes,
got
a
one that's
liquid
a
trace
lime
mineral.
flavor, one's raspberry.
Yes, all those kinds of things. It has all the different minerals and earth minerals.
Yes.
Earth, he talks about the earth minerals. Yes, those are the best kind. And in liquid form is the best too. If you get your vitamins in liquid, it's the best. Not all of them come in that.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention names on it, but I can use a company that's been around for centuries and has all organic farm, organic nutrients and
Right.
that kind of thing. And it just amazing. So not what you said, liquid minerals. You can get them in Sprouts, you get them in a lot of different places,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to take them and drink a lot of water. That's the whole thing. People do not take time for water.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, hopefully that answers the question. I
It
don't know
does.
specific names here. Yes.
No, we
Okay.
don't want to say any, and that's what somebody else was
Yeah.
asking about the specific water. You just want a
Yeah.
really good, high quality, clean water. We're not going to recommend you
Yes.
setting
Yes,
certain
I'd
kind,
recommend
but
spring. Yeah, spring water is what I like the best because you got some minerals, some natural minerals in it versus reverse osmosis, which is good water, but
Mhm.
you need to have the minerals. That's one
Yeah,
thing we're all lacking so much in because the earth is not having so much in. I was a farmer, so I understand all that. So
yeah. All right. Well, somebody else is asking. So in regards to hormones, if they're on progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, maybe like bioidentical hormones or things like that, obviously we're not your doctor, so you're going to have to check with them. But we know the Shine and Dream do amazing things to help balance your hormones. Do you have any input or insight into that with that combination?
yes. So if you're on hormone balancing therapy, check with your doctor regularly, but go on what we're talking about, and it's going to normalize. The key word is normalize. Because when you normalize the body's own function, it's going to bring back this hormone balance and work and function in your body like it should. And of course, that would mean what you're taking would be reduced. And check with your doctor and get your test. I've done saliva tests for years for hormone balancing, this type of thing. And it's fascinating, it's fantastic how it works, and it's needed. But with the Lifewave patches protocol, you're going to take less of it. It's going to cost you less because saliva testing costs hundreds of dollars, and the nutrients that go with hundreds of dollars. We also do brain span testing in the clinic, which is checking cognitive issues and inflammation in the brain. And of course, we know that the Lifewave patches reduce that inflammation in the brain. And so that also helps tremendous amount. That's the key now. I mean, researchers are coming up more and more and more. Brain inflammation is the biggest cause for most things we all have. So we have to confront that. And that's, I've started using the night one. What's the night one?
Silent
The
nights?
night, yeah, silent night. I put it in my neck and ear, and it worked a little bit. And of course, so I started putting it in my third eye, right between my eyes, and man, it knocks me out, and I'm out. So that works fine. So, and that of course affecting the hormones in your nighttime sleep. So it helps balancing them again. So anybody that's using or on any hormone protocol, start with these programs, and if you need to, check with your doctors, get post tests, because you're going to see they're going to be better and reduced. We've had many testimonials and people off of all their medications, all these things, because the body works better with this protocol. It just lets the body heal like it's supposed to with what they call the innate intelligence, the inborn influence of the body. So I hope that answers our question.
It does. I love that. Thank you. So
Yep.
2 questions. They want to know how long you've used Lifewave patches.
I started down like last December. I got into it big in January.
Perfect.
So it's been 6,
8,
7
9
months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, someone wants to know if you have to have any patchless hours. Like we have X39 during the day, you do silent nights at night. Do you have to have any 24-hour period without patches, or do you just patch daytime patches, nighttime patches, and it's perfectly fine?
Well, you can do it both ways. I've spent nights with no patches once in a while just to see what happens. But I use the Eon at night usually, back and forth between Eon and carnosine and others. I use carnosine during the day. I should say Eon and
Alavida?
glutathione,
Oh,
Elvita,
glutathione.
yeah, Elvita too. Yeah, I use glutathione and that I have been. I've used it during the day. I switch them back and forth. I think probably the Eon, if you've got pain, put that Eon on where the pain is at. Use 39 and 49s along with it. I've kind of experimented my knee because it's getting so much better. I still have some pain, and if I'm on them all day, I'll put an Eon right on that patch. I haven't used ice waves for about a month, so because it's so much better. So you can lose them back and forth, whatever works the best for you. If you forget them, just don't worry about it. Start the next morning again. I woke up in the middle of the night a couple of times with my energy patches on my lumbar area. I thought, holy smokes, no wonder I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So no, you can use them anytime. There's no ons or offs, but the best thing is 12 hours on, 12 hours off. That's a key thing because you got to give your body time to recoup and regenerate and keep on working. So because you don't want to overstimulate, right?
No, every patch has a 12-hour window, so it's okay if
Yes.
summer day, summer night. Like I haven't went a day in a little over 2 years without having a patch on daytime or nighttime. It's just
Right. Me too. Yeah. Since I started, yes.
Okay, so someone is asking, have you ever heard of increased blood pressure? They have a client that is just convinced that their blood pressure increased because of X39 and Eon. She thinks something else is going on, but it came back down when she stopped. So obviously you just mentioned that your blood pressure has come down,
Yes.
and we hear that all the time. So have you ever heard of that with anyone?
I have not, but it depends on the age of the patient. So many elderly patients, they're on medications to get it too low. I've had some of my clients, some past patients and friends in Albuquerque that I've helped. And it seems like not all, but some cardiologists want their blood pressure too low. And as we get older, we need to have our blood pressure up a little bit because it's less flexible. You need to get the pressure up, 120 over 80. But in the older people, if you're 130 over 90, is not a problem, in my opinion. So it may, if the patient is older, patches may have brought them up to where they should be to function, because your body has sensory input in it, all the cells. If it needs more blood in some spot, the heart's going to come up and pump more blood. It's going to have the pressures come up to get it to that area. And that's a natural response in the body. And of course, medication is needed in some cases to keep them too high if you're not normal. But the body's going to kick in again. That sensory input to the brain is going to tell the brain, hey, this area needs more blood, pump it up more, heart, get going. So it's going to pump it up more. So it's probably a natural reaction to the patching being on. The body needs more blood in certain areas. So you just have to watch it doesn't go too high. But if it's in a reasonable range, and depending on the age of the patient, what they're on, what medication on, it can make a difference. So if that person is on medication, they probably should check with a cardiologist, see what that's doing, but keep an eye on the blood pressure and go back on the patches gradually, see what it does. Because if it doesn't, I don't know how high they're talking about, but mine would have been pretty high in the past. So, and I use natural things to keep it down. But this reference, the last time I took the natural things, I was checking it periodically, but that was when it was like 117 over 70. And I said, holy smokes, that's too low. So I quit taking the natural things that I take for that. And it's been normal. I mean, it'll go up and down depending on what I'm doing, like everybody should. So it just takes time for the body to normalize. So
right. And we know
answers the question.
Obviously stress causes pain, causes your blood pressure to go up.
Correct.
So if if you're in a situation where you're in an acute pain and your blood pressure's up, then that could contribute to it as well too. But I love that explanation of being older and needing that pressure more in your body.
Yes, I've seen so many people. And Sandy, that works for us, she's experienced with me in a clinic, and we had an elderly fella that came in with severe back pain. We got him doing better, but he started fainting, getting off the table, and he wasn't on the patches or anything, but just the explanation. And Sandy said, let's check your blood pressure. And of course, it was so low, it's a wonder he's even functioning.
Wow.
He's on two different medications. So you go to your doctor and tell him, and of course, they got him off of 2 of them, and he's been doing good since. But and of course, we do a lot of Medicare people, and the Medicare is always, when we do Medicare, we want these people better so they don't fall on the hips. But when you get older, so many of them are on the blood pressure medications, and it makes the blood pressure so low. That's when they faint and fall and break their hip. Or I've seen it over and over and over in all the years I've been doing this. And
Right.
so we just try to check everybody when they come to the clinic thoroughly as much as we can to help them and expose them to the Lifewave patching and so on and so forth. So I don't hope that answers that question. I would
Yes.
get them back on the patches, get them going again.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Dr. Don. Okay, someone is asking about about the brain and the nervous system. So what are the biological processes in the brain and the nervous system that are activated by X49 and carnosine to restore the brain to a cool, fully functioning brain?
Well, that's a broad question. I would say it would increase the normal function of the synapses, the communications of the nerves. I always believe, when they have this TIAs and these kind of things, and they're talking about blood, I think it's a short circuit in electrical systems, what happens first. And that's my opinion anyway. So it makes the brain work better, gives you better circulation, gives you a better electric current, better antioxidants to help the inflammation. That's the key thing, because when it's inflamed, they don't work as well, and that's the big issue. But the carnosine has to do with electrical current, and of course, the 3949 has to do with more and more of the proper stem cell activation. So I'd say those three is what it does. Just makes it work healthier, reduces inflammation, increases function by electrical current, increases blood flow, regulates the blood flow, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
No,
that's perfect. Yeah, that's
okay.
Absolutely perfect. Going back to the blood pressure, she did say that the person is 84 years old.
Okay.
Their blood pressure is 130/90 without the patch and was 155/90 with it.
Okay.
On blood pressure medications.
On blood pressure medications. Okay.
And I'm not asking you to diagnose this person.
No, I know.
No, they're not your patient.
Well, that is, and I don't know how long she did that. I would monitor the blood pressure, check with their diet, the liquids, the water they're eating, how much salt she's on, if they have the minerals. If the minerals are low, it can affect that. So I would check minerals, get on liquid minerals, water, eat more fish, drink more water, eat more green vegetables, check what kind of fruits and juices they're drinking, because there's so much water, or I should say sugars and sweeteners and salts and all these things. So they all can affect that. But looking at the patches make the body function better. So if the blood pressure is coming up when they're doing that, there's something in the system that wants more blood and sending a message to the brain from that cell, wherever it's at, it wants more blood, it's not getting it. So check and see if it has any vein issues in the legs at that age, arms, circulation. So there's a reason why it goes up when it does it, because the body has an innate intelligence to survive. And if it needs blood, it's going to pump it up until it gets it. So we need to go back and maybe get an evaluation, examination through cardiology or vein, vessel, that kind of thing, to see where it's not getting the blood at. That could be one of the areas. Or it could be just trying to normalize the body if everything else is well. If he's active, he walks well, moves well, doesn't sit all day. You need to look at those things too. So hopefully that helps you out. If there are more questions on it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Thank you. I'm learning a lot here. This is great. So someone wants to know, what would be a good patch for severe arm nerve injury?
That's a good one. Okay, nerve, no, that's a broad plan. Okay. Well,
Arm nerve.
Yeah, I have nerve. Yeah, I treat a lot of those. I got one right now. It's been a tough case. So we got him on a lot of things, and his strength is improving, but he's still numb. Takes a lot of time for nerves to regenerate when they've been bad. And it's, of course, as we get older, they regenerate slower. And of course, Lifewave increases that patching. So you need to look and see. And my advice, if you're patching, and still go to a chiropractor that's going to give you relief and change you. And there's all different forms of chiropractic. I enjoy the activator method, the energy method, where it works faster and better with less stress on the body. So you can go to activator.com and put that in your zip code and see if there's a doctor in the area who does that. But the 39 and the 49, and again, the carnosine for electrical current is probably the best. They use different areas. Put them on your wrist. Put them on and put them where. Put the 39 on the neck wherever the nerve comes out. If it's the whole arm, put it in the lower neck. Maybe if it's one arm, put it on the side that the numbness is on. If it's both arms, I might even put a Eon on both sides of the neck at the same time at C5 area. I do different things out of the box to see what happens, because it's not going to hurt anything. It's going to make it better. There's no side effects. And also you could use the pain ice waves, put the dark patch on the left side of the body and the neck in that area, the white patch on the right side. That's another thing to try. You could use the dark patch on the left wrist, on the inside of the wrist where they do the carpal tunnel surgeries, and the white patch on the right one, see what happens with that. But give it a few days when you do it. And again, if you get in the right spot, it's going to be better right away. But nerve regeneration takes time no matter what you're doing, especially if it's been numb for a long time. And that depends on the irritation or impingement of the pressure in the nerve in the spine, depending where it's at. So if it doesn't go away, get an MRI and determine what's going on in the spine and what's happening up there. And they can, your doctor can do that. Your chiropractors can do that to see what's going on, see why it's not responding. So, but those kind of things, and depending on the age of the patient, do respond. I've had many of them respond to radiculopathy and all these things, but it takes months for some people to get that function. I'm talking function, because your symptom is the tip of the iceberg, and the Lifewave patches can get that tip of the iceberg out of there immediately with the ice wave. So you still got to fix the function. That's what the rest of the patches are all about.
Absolutely. I love that. We'll get that
problem
out there, get the symptom immediately, but we got to get to the function. I love
that. Right. Get the pain.
Function.
Yeah. You get the pain away, the function comes out better. Yes.
Yeah. That's a great way to explain that. I'm learning so much. Okay. So what patches do you recommend to help with blood sugar issues?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. What is it now? Got to see SB6 is your big one for that. They've reported blood chemistries are changing, blood sugar markers are changing using that. But again, 3949 and carnosine with it to get everything to work better. So there isn't one patch that fixes everything. That patch helps that issue along with the rest of them. So yes, we've seen reports on that. Somebody just the other day showed me their blood test. I forget who it was now, and it showed better too. So yeah, that's what I would use.
Perfect. Okay, so what are your thoughts on using half of the patch? Someone took off half the backing of the energy enhancer. Have you seen people do that where they just do half of it? Like they'll take off. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we use that with the ice wave to try to find the right spot for it, but I have not done that. I don't know why you want to just have half of it off. You want to have it all on, but so the ice waves and maybe the energy one to find out where the best spot would, and then eventually when you find the spot that gets the pain off, you take it off and stick it all on. So I wouldn't use half of the patch as a permanent issue. No.
I agree. And a lot of times people, I think if I use half of it, then I can reuse the other half the next day.
No. I would say that crystals are all get reflected in there anyway. So, and again, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right. The covering on the patch, I think it just has to do with the stickum, because if you can put that patch on there and put tape over it, you don't even have to take the stickum off. It still works.
You're exactly right. I'm holding it like this and it's working.
Yeah. So taking half patch off does nothing for it. It just don't stick as long. Okay.
Sometimes, we get some simple questions pretty easy.
I understand. Yeah.
Now we're going to go back to a little bit more complex. So regarding, you're so good at it though, regarding the brain question. Okay. So do the changes mentioned desensitize the brain and create a cool brain? But how do the 30 or the 49 in carnosine nurture the brain individually? So 2 questions. Did the changes mentioned desensitize the brain and create a cool brain? Because like we know from the X39, we look at our brain mapping studies.
Right.
You can see that cooling effect, that coherence around that 6-week mark. But she's asking specifically with 49 in carnosine, how do they nurture the brain individually?
Well, I wouldn't use them individually, but all of them and individually also probably would increase the blood flow regularly. It would increase, first of all, the electrical currents, the synapses of the nerve current, which is the most important thing. And then again, I think that's what happens first before anything else happens in the brain, because studying brain function with our brain program through Harvard Medical University we work with, that synapses, the current, which is electrical current, is going to function better with all three of those patches, and probably individually also would do the same thing. Because when you get more electrical current going through, and of course, again, reducing inflammation is a key thing, because we know inflammation slows down the stem cell action and activity. And of course, we all have inflammation as part of healing, but it gets out of control in most of us. So you've got to control that inflammation, and all of those patches help control the inflammation. So hope that answers our question. But anybody that has that, I would do 39 to 49 carnosine, and
what about the Eon?
Eon also, yes. I don't know why I would use one of those, but the best one is 39, of course, 39. So, but it's going to make the brain work better, and that would cool the brain, as they talk about cooling it, which means there's less resistance in the energy that flows through it. And because if it's cooler, the energy is flowing. If it's hotter, it's blocked up. It's a very simple principle. If the energy blocks, that's what gets you pain. If you get the energy flowing, because pain is nothing more than blocked energy, and if it's blocked long enough, it causes disease. So that's why acupuncture works. That's why all that whole process, and the energy's got to flow, and that's why our environment in our modern world is really playing havoc with our bodies. So it's because way back in the 80s and 70s, I used to have patients come in with adjustments and proper diet. Type 2 diabetes goes away. They don't nowadays. It's because of the food in our environment. And but again, we've had reports by using ice waves, their blood chemistries are doing better. So hopefully that answers that question on the brain. That's a complicated one, but it's simple, really.
It was perfect. Yeah. Okay, so what about when someone has, let's say, fast-growing cells, right? Body's gotten rogue cells that are out of control.
Okay.
Would there be any hope for using the patches, or would that be something that they could use? Is that even safe or effective to use?
Well, there are no bad side effects from it. No matter what they do, what protocol they use for that, I would use patches right along with it. We've had patients go in for surgeries that are on patches. They come out of there healing twice as fast with no pain, with less pain. Dental work with no pain with patches on. But when you had what they call rogue cells, the body, if it's functioning right, there's other cells, and are they T cells? I forget what the kind of cells they call them. They come up and garbage them out and throw them in the garbage. And if the body's working, because we all have those cells in us. They're just wasted cells that are no good. And if the good cells don't come and get rid of those, like put them in the garbage can, I'm going to use that terminology, and you get rid of them, and then other symptoms come on, and that's what happens. And of course, that's all back to diet and electromagnetic energy and a whole lot of issues in the body. So I don't know if that answered the question for that.
Perfect. Yes, it does. Now, someone's talking specifically about your spleen, which is enlarged. So we're talking organs here. What patches would you recommend for proper organ function?
Back 39, 49 carnosine and Eon. That's the main ones. And if you need to start with less, 39 first and Eon then. I would find out where the meridian or spot on the body for that organ and find that spot. You can look them on the internet. It's all on there. And put that carnosine or even the 39 with the carnosine right over it, right in that spot. So
perfect.
And drink a lot of water and get a lot of minerals. And eat a lot of greens, eat some protein, leave complex carbohydrates or sugars, all that stuff, and look what you're eating. High fructose corn syrup is in everything. That stuff's poison. I can go on and on. It's just crazy what our diet and what our grocery stores are selling. So, and go organic, even though it's a little bit more, it's better for you. Eat less, spend less. Organic. And some people say it's not organic. Well, if it says it's organic, hopefully it is, but maybe it isn't, but it's better than the one that has all the stuff in it. So
better than the GMO stuff, right?
Yes, the GMO stuff, right? Yes, there you go.
I agree with you totally. Okay, so someone's asking about hearing. Is there an option for these patches, anything to be able to help with our hearing? We know we see a lot with vision, with people improving their eyesight. Have you heard of anything helping with the hearing?
Yes, we've had patients. That's been patients in our office. One gentleman's elderly. He was injured in the war, and his hearing came back. Said he was in the shower one morning and he could hear the TV playing. And we've had another lady that used to use her glasses when she walked on her treadmill, and she didn't have to use those anymore. But again, 39, 49 and carnosine. But you might use the Eon and put them behind the ear. You could try different areas, but again, go back to meridians and look it up and see where's the meridian for hearing your ear. I've had this issue, and Jeff keeps telling me it gets better, but I've had a TMJ issue, which I had a little habit with my dentist, and I changed dentists and I got that fixed, and my hearing was better right away. My earring was better right away because my jaw's not jamming up into that neurological area.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of different complicating factors with that. The TMJ can affect hearing, your brain. They're also connecting hearing issues with brain inflammation, the whole gamut of that nerve. If it doesn't function, it don't work because you got little hairs in there that wiggle in there, and they have to get that information through there. And if it's inflamed, it doesn't. So back to inflammation again. So
perfect. Thank you. All right. What about anxiety? Let's talk about anxiety.
Anxiety. Oh my gosh. Well, that's back to the 3949 and carnosine. That helps that whole chemical hormone change for that. Because there's, again, we've got patients, people that's been on the podcast that's gotten over the anxiety, and that's a lot of it. I had a young lady in just the other day that's anxiety issue, that medication for. She's 12 years old, so we got a challenge there. So yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, 3949 carnosine for electrical current, because that's back to that, and of course the Aeon for inflammation. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of people are asking about anxiety and the depression and things like that, because we got so much going on in the world.
Yes, we
all
do.
ages,
Yes,
and people are very stressed. So
yes, yeah. So reduce the stress and exercise more.
Yes, perfect.
Yes, using patches. Yeah.
Yeah, we know exercise. Oh my God, exercise can get rid of all that, right?
Yeah,
Eating
right.
healthy. Yeah. All the things you mentioned. So this is a great thing. So someone shared that her son was on 5 medications for his mental illness, off 3 of them now using X39 and carnosine.
Fantastic.
So yeah. Obviously, Dr. Dawn is also saying that X49 and Eon would be fantastic as well too for that.
Yes.
And the blood flow in the brain and the energy. Perfect. Okay. So when we're talking about let's see here. I want to make sure. Yep, aloe vera. Okay, so aloe vera, we haven't talked about aloe vera very much yet, and someone was asking about that for organ function. So do you want to talk about aloe vera a little bit?
Well, aloe vera is one I haven't dug in too much with. I've used it a couple times. You probably know a lot more about that than I do, but if it helps the hormones, it's going to balance the hormones as you go through the body. We know that. And the creams also help with that. I've used it. I think I used it 1 month. I didn't see a lot of change, but I know it works. I use all the other ones. But if it balances the hormones, it's going to have to work. I mean, that's what it's for. And that's where David got the frequencies. You're all back to frequencies, light energy. And the energy thing I use in the office, I come up with negative words, negative terms, negative experiences, and I find a positive emotion, a positive thought, feeling, and I resonate that with the body, and it magically just turns that off and the body relaxes. It's just amazing. So that works. Use it.
I love that. Yeah, aloe vera we promote. You said the creams. So, for us,
I haven't used the cream. So I
probably for us women, maybe with a little bit more vanity. I don't know. My husband uses the creams though too, because he's trying to make sure he can stay young looking just like I am. So those patches, man, they reverse your age. I'm telling you, when your insides are young and healthy, your outsides are young and healthy. And so I always put the night cream right here in the décolleté area to make sure because you can see the age on a woman right here. And I do the back of my hands because you know how women get those dark spots. I would say it's on my face. But yeah, definitely that. So the aloe vera is great for your skin, helping build the collagen production. But it's wonderful at night. It does help with a little bit of increase in melatonin. You mentioned the silent nights up here. A lot of aloe vera there for the crazy dreams. Yeah, I find I have crazy dreams no matter what. As soon as I started using X39, I've always had dreams, but they become so much more vivid.
I've had the same thing. Yeah, I know what you mean.
lot more vivid dreams for sure. So this is probably a little bit more in your area of expertise as well too. Someone was asking about the ringing in the ears. So what would you recommend for that?
That's a big problem with a lot of people. I'm at 3949 and carnosine, but get your TMJ checked. make sure it's functioning right. Many chiropractors work on that. Some don't. Some dentists work on them. Some don't, because that can affect it a lot. But it's back to inflammation again in the brain, because all the researchers are coming up with inflammation of the brain is causing earring ringing, and of course, the loud music. Then you're back to vibration again. The music that soothes your body, relaxes your body, what you still listen to. This other stuff, because I was back in the rock and roll era. Of course, everybody thought we was crazy, but a lot of that's good. Some of it isn't. So whatever resonates with you, you feel good with, it should be helpful. But loud noises, loud music makes those fibers or those hair follicles and that vibrate way past their abilities, which causes overstimulation or activation, bringing your ringing on. And again, if those follicles are connected with nerves that are inflamed, it's going to make it worse. So the key thing is going back to getting rid of the inflammation of the brain, which is what the patches help do, along with your diet and nutrition and so forth and diet. And some people had ringing go away faster, some slower. It's a challenge for sure. It's a big issue. There's some people on the internet say they get this herb, that herb, it gets rid of it. I haven't ever tried all those, but I'm sure different things help them. So you just got to look and see what works for you.
Perfect. All right, let's talk a little bit about gut issues, because we know that's become a big problem with people, are their digestive tracts and, different types of digestive conditions. So what would you recommend for gut health?
Okay, well, with the patches, $39.49 in carnosine, same thing. But again, that has a lot to do with your diet, your endocrine system. So all those things are going to help that, and give it time. And your diet is amazing. And of course, your nervous system. I've had thousands, I guess, through the 50 years I've been in practice, helping with the gut issue through chiropractic measures, that kind of thing. But again, the patches help everything work better, faster, and more complete. So start with the patches, water, aloe vera that you drink. Forever Living aloe vera is what I use. I shouldn't mention names, but anyhow, that's one of the best ones I've had. A lot of kind of store. They used to, back when we started using aloe vera, gosh, 40 some years ago, nobody heard about it much anymore. It wasn't even in the stores, but it's all in the stores now. So that would help too.
Perfect. All right. Okay. So one last question, because we've talked about a lot of things tonight and we only have a few minutes left. So I want you to share a little bit, or I guess, maybe not a question, but share a little bit. I mean, you've been in the company now, not quite a year using this technology. And obviously you have a very extensive background. And why, number one, what made you decide to really incorporate Lifewave as you have? But where do you see that going in the future of medicine? Where do you see this technology and what David has coming down the pike in the future?
Well, I was just talking about the other day, because I can see all the emergency rooms having these in the emergency room. I can see it all in the hospitals, because there's it's so far ahead of pharmacology. It's amazing. It's light years ahead of it, and David's light years ahead of it. And I've used energy for years, and many doctors have for years. And the energy is back to that's what's got to correct it. That's the fix, because you have the right energy when you get injured. It's going to heal faster. We had a patient, a couple, 3 weeks ago. I cut his lip with a piece of machine down here. It bled really bad. And he just put a Band-Aid over. He's that kind of a guy. He should have went and got stitches, but he spent 4 days up north in the woods, and he come back on Monday or Tuesday, went to shave, and there was no scar, no nothing. What happened? He's been using the patches for 5 or 6 months. So I tell these young people, use the patches. So I think healthcare, if we can get past the political part of it, this is the best thing for the whole society and the world, because that helps that energy, because we are light energy beings. And if that energy goes away, that's what happens at the end of life. And because when the energy leaves, the physical body doesn't function anymore, and anything's going to increase that life energy. And I don't know anything else that does it more than Lifewave. I have never seen, never heard of anything like this. And you can get stem cells from other things, but they're not like your own. Because implanted stem cells work for a while, but after a while they're gone again. But with Lifewave, your body's continuously, every day, regenerating, helping more new ones to come in. I mean, it's simple. Simple chemistry, simple work. It works, and it's simple, and it's fantastic. I can't say enough about it. But if I owned a hospital system, I would put these in every emergency room. I may have every patient every day getting them on, and so I couldn't say enough about that. It's even with people that's had strokes and all these kind of things. We've seen people that's had these strokes and been on the patches, and they got through them with very little effect, and we've seen the opposite. So it just depends on what's going on in that system, what's happened. So, and the good Lord knows when you're going to go and when he's not going to go. So we do the best we can to stay here as long as we can. So
Yeah. And Dr. Don, last question. How long should someone wear these patches?
Rest of their life, if they want to be healthy all their life. And so many people are ingrained. Get a symptom, take a pill, do a surgery, do something, get in. Sometimes my patients say, get me an adjustment, I'll feel good. And they come back when it hurts again. I said, that's not the answer. It's relief, better than a pill. But as long as you want to stay healthier and better and function. I told patients the other night, we went to a passing party and I started out and I says, how many here want to live longer and with less pain? Everybody. How many want us to live long and healthy and not go to, where? Nursing homes. They all want them. I said, well, then the answer is Lifewave patching and eating good. There's no other answer.
I love it. People do. They ask that all the time. How long do I have to wear this? But they'll go to their doctor and get their statin or their Synthroid or whatever they're getting. And it's like monthly CVS, they're there picking up their prescription and they don't bat an eye. But when you talk about using something daily that is alternative or not prescribed from the doctor, they tend to think, I just want a quick fix and I want it fixed in 30 days. And we know that's not the way the body works.
Right. That's correct. Yeah. They want it fixed tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. That's correct.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Dr. Don, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm absolutely loved getting to know you more. And obviously we have the same beliefs and philosophies and passion and commitment to people. And I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here tonight. Marcy shared your son Jeff's contact info with me, and I'm grateful he got a hold of you and we got a chance to connect again this weekend. But thank you so much for pouring into everyone. I know they're all in the chat. It's just, they're blowing up how just so grateful they are.
Hopefully it helped a lot. Yes.
Very, very helpful and thorough. So thank you so much for taking the time tonight to be with us. I will be sharing this recording as soon as this completely uploads. I'll have it on my YouTube. And I'm happy, Jeff, if you want to send me your email, I'm happy to email you the Zoom link as well, too. If you guys have a website that you want to put it up on, you can upload it yourself as well. So just give me a minute. I'll get it up on my YouTube channel, and Dr. Don and Jeff can get it up on their content as well, too. So thank you so much for pouring into us tonight.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to say you're doing a fantastic job. And where would we be without you in Lifewave? This is fascinating functioning. I mean, I've listened to you a lot and you're right on base, right on board, and it's fantastic what you're doing. So keep doing as long as we can keep going. So thank you very much for having me on. And anytime you need to or want me to come back and preach some more, I'll be happy to.
I would love to have you back on. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you, Dr. Don. Thank you, Jeff. You guys have a fantastic evening.